everybody. Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the extraordinary honor and pleasure of catching up with the one, the only, the mighty Stu Hamm. Yay!
What's up, man? How are you?
Oh, doing great. How about you?
Awesome. Living the dream here in California.
Excellent. Well, we're getting together to update because we understand you've got some big news for us. What's happening, Stu?
I do. Well, I've done a bunch of, teaching and education has been a big part of my career. From, my father was a musicologist and head of the music departments and president of the American Musicology Association. And my middle brother, Chris, teaches at UW. And my oldest brother, Bruce, taught at the Ali Akbar Khan School of Indian Music for decades. And he's a teacher, so it's always been in there. I've done a bunch of, teaching at schools and courses for True Fire and Slap, Pop, and Tap, but have a course coming out for a company called ArtistWorks out of beautiful Napa, California. And it is really, so thorough. They gave me the chance to do, we may have filmed 30 hours worth of material. Wow. They said, we want you to create your own sort of bass academy or bass course. And they gave me the opportunity to say, let's take it from the beginning, and then teach the way that you would like to teach it all the way through it. And it was quite an epic amount of work and filming to get it out, but they have great production values. One of the things that ArtistWorks offers is that when you do one of the lessons, you video yourself playing it and you put it on the form there, and it comes to me and I watch it and I comment on it and say, I came in, maybe if you arch your finger a little more, you get that E string to ring, you try to play a 3-note chord. So the student gets that, and as well as it's posted on the forum, so all students can check out the interactions. And the thing that I liked about it was some of the instructional courses are sort of just demonstrations. Didn't really allow me to get to why are we doing this, right? So my approach to this was just teaching the way that I approach the neck, especially for harmony and bass playing. And like everything else, man, you just take whatever you can. I took a little bit from Mingus and Jeff Berlin and Jocko and Samandel and Rufus Reed and all the Mel Bay, and you just learn it and you take what little bits work for you. But what I really got to accentuate was, if you started in the beginning, was talking about hand positioning, right? Which is so important for me, knowing, what you're playing. For the way that I visualize the harmony and the way that I can position my hands, to outline a minor 7th chord, a major 7th chord, dominant 7th chord, whole tone patterns, diminished patterns, that there are times when soloing, you just want to sort of close your mind and channel the music of the spheres. But to get to that point, I think you need, just some basic coordination and real understanding of it. And I got to demonstrate my own way, modes and stuff like that, and where hopefully it just demystifies it. And what I enjoyed was that I also found out that I may be the only person that likes to just put on a metronome and read sheet music all day. And that for some people you have to disguise the fact that they're practicing.
Yeah.
And make it a little more interesting. So, when I first teach about intervals, like, okay, here's a fifth. Just learn how your hand goes from the root to the fifth up and the fifth below it. And then I'm going, with this knowledge, you can play Doc of the Bay, you can play country music, you can play Latin music. Some people say that may be all you need to know, right? I mean, it's the old, this one, how many country bass players it takes to change a light bulb?
No, how many?
1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 5. Anyway, and when I go to major thirds, we're playing like a Drifters tune, an old doo-wop song. And when we go to the odd section, we've got everything from some modern fusion to Hey Ya by Outkast. And, also hopefully to show bass players that if you want to be versatile, there's work. There's so many bass players that you and I know that maybe don't get their face in the magazines that are working all the time.
Yeah.
Making a good living. And they're just sort of doing the bread and butter, chopping wood work. Because they're versatile and they can read and they got a good attitude, and then that's all good. I appreciated the opportunity to get a little more in depth with the concepts that I wanted to teach, and then from there it was just hours and hours of trying to break it down into sections and hard practice and fun stuff.
Absolutely. Well, one of the challenges, especially with teaching, it always is as beneficial to the teacher as well, because it forces you to evaluate what you're doing and how you can present it to somebody. So you kind of have to chew it up and pre-digest it for a student to go, oh, okay, let's make it clear. Because especially when it comes to, you mentioned, like when you mentioned modes or things like that, the moment you say that to a lot of people, they're kind of like, oh no, it's Greek, it's names in Greek, and that's as far as I'm going to go. And and they kind of glaze over a little bit. And there's a practical way to look at it, and certainly in the bass education arena, there's kind of the two ends of the spectrum, where there's again a very more practical side where it's like just feel the groove and play, and if we can get good position, good habits, it'll be better, you'll do better. And then there's the kind of hardcore, I'll say more conservatory. I was interviewing a bassist who he went to the Conservatory of Music, and the standard program there was a 10-year program. And he left after a year. He's like, I don't want to wait 10 years to play. I want to play now. And so kind of finding kind of the middle ground, which has you functional, but you're still learning. Do you have to know how to read music to do your course, or? No,
you don't have to. I'm not going to lie that I don't encourage it. Sure. I don't see why you wouldn't want to. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I'm not at all diminishing the importance. I mean, the number one thing in the importance of a musician is to listen, right? I sort of came at it ass backwards, where I started playing bass, playing upright bass, reading big band walking through changes with junior high school and then high school very high level jazz band. Mm-hmm. The first time that I played with a rock band, it was like, but then I was always putting it on the radio and just playing along. So you don't have to learn to read, but I'm not going to, I have to take the track that if you're serious about it, but you think it's going to ruin your playing. If you're a Marine, they make you learn how to take apart and put together your rifle in the dark, right? That's cool. And as far as 10-year, apparently I'm on like a 49-year program of learning the bass, because I'm still working on it. I'm getting there. I'm getting better at some stuff. Mm-hmm. I really am. So, but yes, absolutely, which is why in this course, from about the first lesson, I think the actual first lesson, because we start at the beginning. And like, nice. Here are the open strings. And then, okay, we can play a blues in A. And I've got a backing track of some great LA musicians. And, if you want to, you can just play open A and then go to the open D to the 4 and then, so right away you can play music. Gotcha. Of course there should be a balance. And I, know so many musicians that read and that don't. And it is sort of defined by the music you learn. I mean, Satriani never sent me a chart, right? In the rock world, it's sort of here's the tape, learn it. But not like I'm not going home and writing my own little cheat sheet, and to learn the form. So, and coming from, my father, like I said, was very well known. The famous, he wrote books on the history of popular music. He actually started the academic study of popular music. Wow. So in our house, everything from Wagner to the Swingle singles to Joan Baez we're all sort of treated the same way, and was exposed to and played so many different styles of music growing up that I'm eternally grateful for that. As well as my dad played trumpet with John Cage every week. So I'm pretty sure that I listen to more alternately tuned piano music than anyone I know.
Wow. I didn't know you could alternatively tune a piano, but...
Well, now, don't get me started about tuning, or we're going to be here forever.
There we go.
I remember, when I first started hearing Jaco, and in Portrait of Tracy, he goes up to that 7th, and you're going, that sounds a little out of tune, right? And then someone said, well, it's flat, and I'm okay, I'll buy that. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, why would the natural overtones that occur on a string halfway through octave, quarter of the way through fifth, octave, third, fifth, seventh, if you can find them, why would they be out of tune if they're the music is various? They're not. It's like money or nations. It's a shared hallucination that doesn't exist, the tuning of piano music that I love. Right, but if you play, I've got the true temperament basses that I love. But if you play, like say on your D string, 4th fret harmonic F sharp, and then you play that F sharp on the 11th fret on the E string, holy crap, they're not even close.
Yeah.
So this is a piano tuned with those lower thirds and sevenths, and oh my God, does it make me happy.
Gotcha. Well, we should come back to the course. This is always fascinating stuff. It's part of the richness of music, but I think also it's important for potential students to kind of have an idea. As you've mentioned, it sounds like you could go in as a beginner and grow and advance, or if you already maybe have a foundation, you could take away some pearls and make corrections and enjoy the same way. And of course, because it's an online course from anywhere in the world, they can study with you, and you're in a very limited company when it comes to ArtistWorks because it's Nathan, John Patitucci, Misty Raines, and now it's you on bass. So, I mean, you are one of the select 4 individuals that people can learn from with this program. So that's just fantastic.
I was so impressed by what Patricia and John do up there. And for me, it was great that the producer of the session, Marcus Luscombe, is a bass player as well. Wow. And he was a bit of a fan, but, man, you have to have a producer to bounce stuff off. You've got to have someone saying, hey, man, this is just getting worse. Let's move on and do something else. And so I'm just like running my yap 6 or 7 hours a day, and he'll say, hey, man, you're saying 5th fret, but you're on the 7th fret. So he was really there to back me up. But, yeah, you can start at the beginning. Certainly the beginning, and it starts at beginning, intermediate, advanced. My suggestion would be that even if you're advanced or intermediate, they start at the beginning because part of my thing is just like training your hand. Like my hand is just deformed in that position where when I pick up a bass, oh look, there's a major 7 outline right there. Right?
Yeah.
So you start by training your fingers to be in these patterns. So, and if you're really good, you can plow right through this stuff and just sort of see how I set up the terminology and the concepts that I'm going to be drawing on. The intermediate section, just carries on to more complicated versions of what we're talking about. And the advanced section, a lot of it is then going into how, more the slap and tap stuff. And I actually look at some of the music that I've played. We went into my engineer, James Boblek, got the old recordings and dropped the bass from it, right? So you can actually play along with the tracks from Book of Lies and some of the early stuff as well.
Nice.
So I'll show you how you play it, and then just because of the kind of guy I am, that I put on the metronome and go, let's play it slowly, right? So you can understand what you're doing, and so that you can get physical control, the coordination needed. And when you do that, then you'll put on the track and play with it. And of course, they have the technology that any track you're playing along to, if all the tracks are recorded and created, you can slow down the tempo without changing the pitch.
Nice.
So you can practice at your own speed until you get it up to speed. So I'm super pleased with it, and for better or worse, it's how I approach harmony on the neck.
Very cool. And where would people go if they want to get involved with this, if they want to join your course?
ArtistWorks.com, obviously. As we are filming this, I believe it is released on April 4th. Mm-hmm. They're currently on today, which is March 24th? Yes. They're accepting pre-orders, or you can sign up early. And so if you go to any of my, StuHamm.com, or if you go to my Facebook pages or Instagram, then there is a link that shows you a little video clip and a link to where to sign up.
Oh, very cool.
So you get a taste of it.
Well, that's fabulous news. And before we go, also, do you have any other things in the works? Because we're kind of coming out of the darkness of the pandemic. Things are starting to open up. Anything else that you want to tell us about?
The one live dates that I was able to do during the pandemic was a couple of recording workshops at Sweetwater. So I have a new album in the bag. It's being mixed by myself and Javier Reyes from Animals as Leaders, but they're going out on the road. So I've got about half of those pretty much mixed and ready to go. And it's more of a prog rock record. The idea was I'm going to do a prog rock record. And I've got Randy McStein singing on a couple tracks. It was just awesome because I think that's the interesting thing. If you're a bass player, like I love melodies. But unless you're doing a multi-track record, how's the bass going to play the bass? Because I love to play bass. Yeah. And then if you have a guitar play the melody, then oh my God, then we're back to Guitarmageddon, right? So just by having Randy come up with some words when I give him the concepts, and just the sound of his beautiful voice is different. And I used my longtime touring band with Joel Taylor on drums, and finally Alex Skolnick on guitar. And so we've got some great stuff. And man, just reevaluating how much I really want to go out there on the road, since we've sort of learned that we can survive without it. Mm-hmm. I do have a couple of teaching workshops, and I'm doing the Guitars Under the Stars in Oregon. And then in Seattle in the end of July, I think around the 20th, I'm doing a workshop for Guitar Workshops Plus. I have finally gotten funding for the Stu Hamm Bass Wellness Camp in Estonia.
Wow.
And as long as Russia doesn't decide to, start invading north, I don't think it's going to happen. It's this great little town called Varu in the Tartu section of southeastern Estonia that I've been a few times. And every time I've been there, it just feels like home. And I did the best solo concert I've ever been there. I met a bunch of people that are bass players and members of the local arts community, and we have this concept of how I want to run the camp, what I think would be beneficial to bass players, which doesn't mean 8 bass players on stage playing Stratus, by the way. You know, that I don't think that really prepares you for hopefully anything in your career. And also wellness is going to be a big part of it. You know, I mean, before we started filming, we started talking about, you know, health issues and body issues, and I think it's just a crime that, you know, I think people are getting to it. But when I went to music school, no one ever sat down and said, "Hey, listen, you know, develop good habits now, and don't lift that Ampeg 8x10 over your head and carry it upstairs, because in 30 years it's going to come back and bite you in the ass."
Yeah.
So every day is going to be, you know, going to have some local, you know, some meditation and some stretching. So this year we're just doing sort of a trial, and then I've got really good funding for the next 2 years, and then 2024. That region is actually the EU cultural capital, so we're going to have some big publicity, and I'm excited to put my ideas in place for that and get to go to beautiful Estonia every year. So
fabulous. Well, and again, if people want to know about any of these things, back to your website.
Back to the website. Also, you know, go to the Instagram page and the Facebook pages and scroll down. Everything's there. And yeah, man, it's so good to see you. And it is, yeah, things are coming back. You know, my band plays at the Baked Potato here in LA about every 7 or 8 weeks. And we've got this wonderful woman who is playing, Andrea Witt, who plays violin, viola, and pedal steel. And when I do my like ethereal stuff, like going to California and Flow My Tears, you know, to have her, and dual melody. So I can play songs like Castro Hustle and Big Roller that have the dual melodies I haven't been able to play in years. And just the tone of the pedal steel adds such an ethereal quality to my spacey stuff. It's great. Wonderful.
Very cool. Well, Stu, it's so exciting to hear all this stuff that's happening. The ArtistWorks course sounds really intense and impressive, but very exciting. I think there's a lot of good stuff there and fun. Yeah, that's probably one of the most important parts. Well, again, folks, make sure you check out all of the stuff that Stu's doing, especially his course on ArtistWorks. You've seen him here on Bass Musician Magazine.